All right, so your car has the rally gauge set up in it, or maybe you added it to it, and this little gauge down here, the charge indicator is not working right, but you want it to work like this here. Stay tuned. Hey, we got the dash guide out here, the Great Pumpkin 1968 Firebird, working on the amp meter, charge indicator gauge, or voltage gauge, depending on what world you live in. But it's really not a true amp meter, but it's more of actually a voltage gauge, but it doesn't say that. But basically, it's a charge and discharge meter on your rally gauge setup. We installed it here on the Great Pumpkin, got all the other gauges working minus this one. Now, trying to go through a factory service manual, trying to find a good wiring diagram, nothing really out there. Talked to a few people, jumped on some websites, did a little more homework, and really it's kind of conflicting where the hook the two leads up at. But I have found what works really good. Someone sent me a diagram. I'll show you a copy of it right here. Boop, boop. But I'll even show you much more good, or where exactly on the car these points are at and how to make it work. And I'll show you how this thing actually operates when it's done. So we're going to get in here today, get the charge indicator gauge working on the Great Pumpkin. We're going to keep this short, sweet, and simple because that's how I like to do it. There's basically 2 points of hookup. Number one, right there at the back side of the generator here. That is the best place for one of the leads we're going to put right to the instrument cluster. Some diagrams say go to the blue wire here. Some say go to the horn relay. I did those. Didn't work at all on the blue. And then on the horn relay, the needle barely moves. You put it on the generator, it moves very nice and looks fantastic. The other one is here. The battery would normally be sitting, of course, right here, residing in this spot. But there's a positive junction right here. We're going to tie into it here. The battery was the best place, but it just clutters up the end of the hood. This is my battery cable. I don't want wires hanging off it. So we're going to use right here. It's a really short run, and it seems to work really nice. So this is point number 2. So we got basically 1 is the generator, and then 2 is over here behind the battery. And I'm basically going to run wires inside of the car and hook it right to the cluster. Right here on the back side of the cluster, this is the gauge end of it. If you, of course, flip it over, get you a point of reference, you'll see what I'm saying. The bottom one down there says Gen. That's what we're going to try to hook up to. We're going to hook it directly to here and here. I don't have the leads, not to mention my printed circuit card is missing the one there anyway. So I'm going to go directly here, take the nuts loose, put one wire here, one wire there. Now, which one goes where, you're saying? Well, I'll put it this way. It sits this way in the car. In a sense, they cross sides. The one is to the battery, right behind the battery, is now going to be the one on the driver's side. Now, the one that goes to the generator, which starts on the driver's side, is now going to be on the passenger side. So the wires basically cross. If you're kind of draw a straight line back, well, nope. You got to cross over to the other side. So this is going to be I'm going to call it the battery side. This is the generator side. Hook them up there and there, and this thing works like a champ. So I'm going to work on getting some wires ran inside the dash here and show you how to make that thing work. You can see how it goes. Got the wires routed, and I really can't see them because I got them all tucked up inside the loom here, tied up, running inside the car. But the thing to keep in mind, and I wanted to stress this to everybody trying to do this or wanting to do this, this is the wire that I fabricated here. I'm going to hook it right here to the alternator, but see this gray section here? I don't know if I can get the camera to focus on it, but that says fusible link. These wires, both the one over there by the battery and this one here by the generator, are hot at all times, meaning there's constant voltage. They don't turn on off with the key. So that wire needs to be protected with a fuse or fusible link wire. So I've done that on both of those. Now I ran them into the car. So now I'm going to hook up to the back of my cluster, then turn it on and see how that thing works. All right, as you can tell, I have the nuts removed off the 2 here. Here's the wires that I have added to the car. Now the battery is still disconnected, but if it wasn't, these are hot. So be aware of that. Leave the battery disconnected. Now my blue one is the one from the battery, so blue battery. So it's going to go on the driver's side. And then the one from the generator is going to go on the passenger side lug. So I'll get those mounted up there next. And just for those who want to see, that's what it looks like all hooked up and ready to go. So now I'll work on wrestling the cluster in, plug in the instrument plug there, and then have to make sure it's grounded out to that screw by that 12 o'clock position there on the cluster, or this thing won't work properly either. So I'll work on getting it all tucked back in, and I'll show you how this works. Right, cluster's resting back up in place. Put the one screw in here that grounds out the whole gauge set. Now the glare in here is absolutely 100% awful because of the lighting. Needle is straight down. When I turn this key on, it should drop down to the negative side just a little bit, or discharge side. It moved ever so slightly. You can barely see it, but as soon as I start it, that should be a different story. Look at that there. hanging out where it needs to be. Now this system is charging and it shows the output there, so that is exactly what it should be doing. Now of course the glare kind of makes it hard to see, but I assure you that works exactly as I'd hoped it would. Now does that work like from the factory? Does the wire the same? I can't tell you because I have yet really to find a genuine wiring diagram. Maybe there's one out there. If you know where one's at, hook me up, throw it in the comments or email it to me. I'd definitely appreciate to see that. But as much research as I found, I never found an accurate diagram. I have some stuff that says it's from a Firebird, but I'd love to see it from a Pontiac service manual or someone that has the exact knowledge. But this does work. This has a nice gauge sweep to it. When I leave the headlights on, it actually drops down further with the key on and headlights on, and it drops down even further to the negative side. So I know it's actually showing a good discharge rate too. So it should work just fine this way. It's easy, it's simple. Do not forget the fuses or fusible links, because these are hot wires. You don't want to burn up your car over something like this. Don't run it directly. So put a fuse or fusible link. It doesn't have to be a big fuse, but it's low amperage. But just something, I just want to stress that if you don't want to burn your classic down to the ground, not the best idea. It'd be a fiery Firebird. Nonetheless, Great Pumpkin's just about done. We got to fix the axle noise, do some test driving on it, tweak on the carburetor. Don't have the idle quite right. It's got a little bit of a stumble at idle, so I got to work on that carb some. So maybe dig into that. But we're just about done with this car. I'm not sure how much exactly we spent, but I'm going to be sharing that with you here soon. So I hope you found this tip helpful, useful. I rambled on talking about the car. Hope you enjoy what we've done here on this channel. I got plenty more cars to build, more things to show you, and keep you, I guess, entertained, educated, or exactly how I like to say it, the right way, the wrong way, and the BBG way. So nonetheless, whenever we get back out here, finish up the last few bits of this, I will grab the camera, and I hope to see you guys then.